NBC News has just confirmed that actor Malcolm-Jamal Warner has at the age of 54. Authorities in Costa Rica telling NBC News that Warner accidentally drowned while swimming in the ocean on Sunday. Warner is best known for...
The sky over Playa Grande looked like a painting, almost too perfect. That deep blue stretching out forever, that it felt like something straight out of a movie. But real life hit hard, and there was no dramatic soundtrack, just screams. Waves kept rolling in like they always do. Tourists were busy snapping pics and soaking up the sun. And Malcolm-Jamal Warner, he was just another man on vacation with his family, smiling, relaxed, until he wasn't. Witnesses say he waded into the water without a clue that a deadly current was waiting for him. It snatched him in seconds. No warning, no mercy. People on the beach started screaming, running, and one man, a complete stranger from Nicaragua, dove in after him without thinking twice. Lifeguards rushed in, but they weren't quick enough. CPR. It wasn't enough either.
Know that this incident took place on Sunday in Costa Rica. He was on a family vacation. He was swimming off of the coast of a town called Cocles in the province of Limon. He was swimming at Playa Grande. I mean, I've visited Costa Rica a few times. I was there with my family a few years ago, and those currents can be...
Nothing was. Locals dragged Malcolm's body out of the surf. They didn't even know who he was at first. Just a man they were desperately trying to save. They fought for 20 long minutes right there on the sand under that flawless sky while his wife and daughter watched, maybe praying, maybe already realizing the truth. The Red Cross later confirmed what everyone feared. He was gone, declared lifeless at the scene. Malcolm-Jamal Warner, forever known as Theo Huxtable to millions, gone at just 54. It was unreal, heartbreaking. This wasn't how things were supposed to end for a man who brought so much joy to people's lives. But maybe, just maybe, that's the chilling part. Because this didn't feel like just another accident. For some, it felt like something else, something darker, because Malcolm wasn't your average Hollywood figure. He played by his own rules. He didn't sell out, he didn't chase clout, he didn't let himself become a joke just to get a paycheck. He stayed grounded, kept it real, and refused to be anyone's puppet. He said no, over and over again. No to stereotypes, no to being the token character, no to dumbed down scripts. In a world full of sellouts, he stood firm, and people noticed. And that's what's got folks whispering. Was it really just the ocean that pulled him under?
To me, when I was on the show and we had such good times together, I was probably 18 and Malcolm was probably 17, 16, I don't know. And we would take walks together, all of us, and pick up food, talk, played basketball, hung out on the weekends, went to parties together. He was so good.
Let's talk about it. The so-called Hollywood blacklist curse. You've heard the rumors, right? When stars speak out, refuse to play the game, challenge the system, they disappear. Or worse, think about it. Chadwick, Prince, Whitney, accidental, mysterious, always the same story. And now, Malcolm, he lived quietly, but with purpose. No scandals, no public meltdowns, no drama, just work that mattered, and a deep commitment to protecting his family from the chaos of fame. He didn't need to be in the headlines to matter. So when a man like that ends up face down in foreign waters, it hits different. People start asking the kind of questions Hollywood doesn't like to answer.
Oh, so unbelievable there. And Branson, I also was reading that just days ago, he had another podcast episode that was dropped. And now a lot of fans are starting to really listen to that as maybe one of his last times that you hear him.
He wasn't just a throwback to the 80s TV golden era. In recent years, Malcolm became something much more, a cultural voice, a mentor, a man using his platform for truth, producing, writing, speaking. He even launched a podcast just weeks before his final breath. And what was it about? Showing Black life without the stereotypes, real stories, real people. There are so many different facets of the Black community, he said. We wanted to have a space where we can really explore. Powerful stuff. But was that kind of truth-telling too raw for some? Here's where it gets wild. Insiders claim Malcolm turned down major roles that tried to water him down or box him into a street cliche. One former network producer told us, anonymously of course, that Warner walked out of a big money pitch meeting after an exec said, "Theo's grown up, but let's not make him too woke." Can you believe that? Warner didn't need the check that bad. After that, the offer slowed, speaking invites vanished, but he kept pushing forward with the podcast. That podcast, that was his way of cutting through the noise. No filters, no execs pulling strings, just him talking straight to the people. And now, that voice is gone. forever. But here's where things start to twist, and not in a good way. Costa Rican authorities confirmed another man was involved, just 29 years old, from a place called Nicoya. He had nothing to do with Malcolm, yet when Malcolm got caught in that current, this guy didn't hesitate. He dove in to save him, risked his life for someone he didn't even know. He was pulled out in critical condition, rushed to the hospital, and then, poof, he disappears. He survives, barely, and gets discharged a few days later. No press coverage, no interviews, not even a name, no pics, no hero saves a man headlines, nothing but silence.
He really had was a multi-decade career in Hollywood, spanning several different shows. I did a little bit of research before this, and he had about 84 credits on his resume before passing away at just 54 years old. And TMZ also obtained photo, possibly the last photo of him that we may even have ever seen on TMZ.com at the airport on July 13th coming into Costa Rica. It's just so tragic to look at that photo and think that just a week later he'd be passing.
In any other situation, he'd be all over the media. Morning shows, talk shows, maybe even a medal. But here they acted like he didn't even exist. Why? Why is no one talking to the only other person who was in that water? Why is this man being treated like a footnote? One Costa Rican journalist even called it unnerving. Another source said the man may have seen something he wasn't supposed to. That's when the questions really start rolling in.
I wanted to remind you, as I remind myself, that no matter what's going on, there's always a reason to smile. Like, if you just take a minute to stop and take stock, I guarantee you can find at least one reason to smile. And if for some reason you can't find a reason to smile, then that's probably the best time to be the reason for somebody else.
What did he see? Was Malcolm struggling before the current dragged him? Did he say something? Was there someone else in the water? And the biggest question of all, why hasn't this survivor said a single word? Did someone get to him? People are already whispering that Malcolm might have been under watch even before the trip, that some powerful folks were getting nervous about what he might reveal on that new podcast. Sounds wild, maybe, but this is Hollywood we're talking about. A place where NDAs are treated like gospel and people vanish faster than an IG story. And suddenly, that name creeps back into the spotlight. Katt Williams, the comedian turned truth teller who's been ringing alarm bells for years. He's been calling out the industry for its dark side, naming names, exposing secrets, and warning us all about the weird, powerful parties that nobody ever talks about in the daylight. You remember what he said, right? But did he be wanting to party? And you gotta tell him no, I did. He wasn't talking about drinks and music. He was talking about the kind of parties where no doesn't mean respect, it means watch your back. He said that publicly, and he stood on it. And let's not pretend like 2024 hasn't been exactly what he predicted. Diddy's in serious trouble. The feds raided both his mansions, and didn't walk out with just paper trails. They allegedly seized thousands of bottles of oil and who knows what kind of wild party materials. This isn't just gossip, it's official court records. So if Katt's timeline is right, more shoes are about to drop. One by one, secrets stacked so high, it's like a Jenga tower of dirty truth, ready to collapse at any moment. Now think about this, a well-respected, super low-key, always thoughtful actor like Malcolm-Jamal Warner suddenly dies in a foreign country. Right after launching a podcast built on truth-telling, you really think people weren't gonna raise eyebrows, especially in the Black community? Malcolm wasn't just Theo to us, he was proof that you could walk away from Hollywood's madness and still keep your head high. No antics, no clout chasing, no mess, just dignity, culture, and realness. He was the kind of guy who didn't have to say much because his work already said it all. But now, we're all asking the same question.
All lies will be exposed, that's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way.
Good, ever really enough to keep him safe. The silence from the survivor, that ain't just some forgotten detail. It's the first ripple in what could be a massive wave of truth ready to crash down hard.
Right, because P. Diddy be wanting to party. And you gotta tell him no. You got to tell him no. I did.
And when it hits, it might drag out secrets that were never meant to see daylight. Secrets about who Malcolm really trusted and who he shouldn't have, because let's be real, nobody drowns in this kind of industry without somebody somewhere watching it all unfold from the sidelines. That man who lived, his silence is starting to echo. And when you set that silence against years of ignored warnings, it starts to sound more like a siren. Enter Katt Williams. No stranger to controversy and definitely not afraid of the smoke.
When people are against the Illuminati, then they get punched in the face all the time. The press hates them, and nobody likes them.
This man's been prying open Hollywood's closet doors way before Warner's final day at the beach. He's aired out big-name moguls, exposed twisted invites to parties that don't belong in daylight, and recently he's pointed a bold finger straight at an elite circle pulling the strings behind the curtain. And according to Katt, this elite doesn't just have money and power, they run on rituals. And when they come for you, it ain't just your job they take, they erase you. He didn't tiptoe around it, he didn't hint, he said it loud, the Illuminati, over and over again, no code, no fear. And every time he did, another door slammed in his face. Bookings vanished, stand-up specials got shelved, TV deals mysteriously dried up, but he kept talking. He warned everybody, these big deviants are catching hell in 2024. Some folks laughed it off, some listened, but now, after Malcolm's shocking death, ain't nobody laughing anymore. If Katt was right about the mess surrounding Diddy and right about the shady power grabs behind the scenes, then what else has he been right about? Let's put some puzzle pieces together. Malcolm had offers, big ones, but they came with strings. Scripts that wanted him to act like a caricature, play dumb, water down black culture for a few more views. He said no again and again. He wasn't trying to fit their mold. And Hollywood? It only likes black brilliance when it's quiet, clean, and easy to sell. Malcolm chose dignity. He walked away from mockery disguised as representation. But here's the truth. When you stop playing the game, the system starts playing you. And that kind of quiet resistance, they don't like that. In a world built on obedience, someone being intentional looks like a threat.
I hate to bring up the sad news, but news did break today of the untimely passing of Malcolm-Jamal Warner.
I can't believe it.
And threats get erased. We've seen this script before. Remember Prince? Once he started talking about owning his music, calling out record label slavery, and changing his name to a symbol, they painted him as unstable, paranoid, alone, and then he was gone. Found in an elevator in his own fortress built to escape the machine. And Michael Jackson, he told us straight up, they don't care about us. He battled for control of his catalog, fought off the same system trying to rewrite his story, and when he pushed too hard, suddenly Neverland went dark and the only voice left wasn't his. These weren't random tragedies, they were red flags. Over and over, we see the same pattern. Powerful black men with money, influence, and platforms start pushing for independence, and then the stories turn. First it's the headlines, then it's the accusations, then it's the accidents. Mysterious overdoses, health issues out of nowhere, but Malcolm's death, no drugs, no parties, no scandals, just a sunny vacation in paradise that turned fatal, and somehow that makes it feel even colder. Let's talk real patterns.
Early morning swim, he had gone out to the coastline just before sunrise, and a little after sunrise, got into the water. Not too many details about what exactly happened once he was in the water, but authorities did end up finding his body actually hundreds of yards away down the shoreline. His body was discovered in a rocky cove. It was brushed up against that.
Over the last 20 years, too many famous entertainers have taken their final breaths far from home. Jet setting one day, gone the next, tropical beaches, private resorts, quiet hotels, always somewhere else, and always too sudden to make sense. There's something eerie about how smooth it all went down. Too smooth, like someone choreographed every detail, no public chaos, no warning signs, just a clean break from life, far from home, far from help. When celebs die overseas, it's always the same story. The family can't get there fast enough, fans can't mobilize, and by the time the news hits, the narrative's already been written. He was tired. She needed rest. Now they went for a swim and never came back. Tragic, absolutely, but convenient too. Wrapped up with a bow, no loose ends, no mess. If someone wanted to commit the perfect crime, this is how you do it. Nature takes the blame and nobody questions waves or weather. Oceans don't testify, sand doesn't snitch. And if something dark did happen out there in those Costa Rican waters, it's possible we'll never know, unless someone out there starts asking the questions that matter. Like, why was Malcolm alone in the water? Why did that Nicaraguan man, hailed as a hero for a hot second, vanish without a trace?
What's good? Yes, I got the flower in my hair. Today's my daughter's birthday. She put the flower there, so I'm rocking it. What? It's a beautiful day here in Atlanta. I just wanted to shout out and just spread some love and some good cheer. And, you know, life is out here lifing, right? For me and for everybody else.
Who paid his hospital bill? Who talked to him before he went radio silent? Where is he now, and why doesn't anyone seem to care? And here's where things get even heavier. What exactly was Malcolm working on before that trip? Not All Hood wasn't just a podcast. It was a platform, a space where he wasn't just talking culture, he was cutting deep into the system that controls it. Insiders say multiple unaired episodes were already locked in. Episodes where Malcolm was planning to go after what he called the machinery behind perception. That's Hollywood code for the gatekeepers, the shadowy execs, the ones who greenlight shows and kill others before a single script sees the light of day. Reported topics included Hollywood's quiet but constant discrimination, the hidden politics behind which black shows make it to air, and the mental toll of keeping your soul intact in an industry built on illusion. Let that sink in. We haven't heard those episodes yet, and maybe we never will. But fragments from older, Not All Hood podcasts have started popping back up online, and fans are picking up on something new. His tone changed in those final weeks. Gone was the calm, thoughtful vibe. In its place, a sharper edge, more fire, more urgency, like he was racing a clock he knew was ticking. In one of the last publicly aired episodes, Malcolm talked about legacy, but not like some victory lap. He called it a burden, a weight, a responsibility that can break a person if they're carrying it alone. He hinted that telling the truth came at a cost, and not everyone was willing to pay up. He never named names, but the vibe, crystal clear. The man was warning us. In one now viral clip, he said something that feels straight up prophetic. Being real in a world that profits from the mask is dangerous. People are locked in on that line. They're saying it was his way of calling out the way the industry demands black performers to play roles that are palatable, easy to swallow, safe for the masses, even if it means crushing their dignity in the process. And now, theories are swirling. Did Malcolm use that podcast as a coded message? Was he trying to speak through the show, layering his words in metaphors so they couldn't censor him outright? He wasn't yelling, he wasn't accusing, but he was warning. That's how art works when the system tries to shut you up. You start using rhythm and rhyme as armor. And now we gotta ask, did someone think he was saying too much? Because right before his death, Malcolm was teasing a new mini-series, one that would take on how black stories get watered down, edited, and reshaped to keep white viewers comfortable. A heavy topic, sure, but not off-brand for a man who always stood on truth. Still, for some, that series might have been the last straw. The moment where he crossed the line someone didn't want him to, and then silence. There's no trace, no audio, no backup files, no leaks, nothing. Those final podcast episodes, gone, like they never existed. Malcolm had teased them, hyped them, even hinted they'd shake the table. But now, it's like someone hit delete before they ever saw daylight.
For everything I'm telling you, that's why I can say them so freely.
Kid, I need another one. You here, get you another one.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Come on.
So what happened? Did someone step in before they dropped? Was Malcolm warned, pressured, watched? There's been zero transparency from his team. No real answers from the platforms he was working with. And the silence, it's screaming now. Those missing episodes have become legendary, like a Rosetta Stone of truth. The last messages from a man who'd finally decided to stop holding back, and then nothing. But let's not forget, Malcolm wasn't working alone. He had ties to serious names in the game, industry veterans who also had run-ins with executives and power brokers. One screenwriter with awards under their belt told us Malcolm had hit a breaking point. He was fed up with Hollywood's fake wokeness, the way they parade diversity on the surface while keeping the same people behind the scenes writing the checks.
Historic and frozen in time as this iconic character. What did that mean for television, and what does it still mean to this day?
Sam, Theo Huxtable was me. Theo Huxtable was my brothers. Theo Huxtable was the first time someone that looked like me saw someone that looked like himself on television. He was the epitome of what we as kids, in a certain community were.
He wanted to call it out, all of it. That same source said in the months leading up to Costa Rica, Malcolm was acting different. Not paranoid exactly, but definitely aware. Asking about surveillance, legal protections. He wasn't scared. Just ready, cautious, careful, watching the game from the outside like someone who finally saw the whole board. So where does that leave us? A respected actor. No enemies, no scandals, no history of substance use. Suddenly gone. A survivor pulled from the same deadly current who hasn't spoken a single word.
I've not been funded. They pay you to not talk about things they don't want you to talk about. They tell you that themselves.
And a rising pattern that's starting to feel way too familiar. Influential black voices keep disappearing the moment they stop playing along. And in their place, distractions, confusion, half-truths. Meanwhile, the machine keeps running, rewarding silence and punishing anyone who dares to speak real. At what point do we stop calling it coincidence and start asking, who's writing this script? Katt Williams already knows he's not getting invited back into the rooms where the real decisions get made. He's accepted it. He said it himself.
Yes, obviously so heartbreaking. Such a tragedy. Here in the office, so many Cosby Show fans of this wonderful actor, and he had a very long career even after the show that he was known for.
I turned down $50 million 4 times just to keep my integrity because P. Diddy be wanting to party, and you gotta tell him no. That wasn't just a joke. That was a warning, a veteran insider saying out loud what most are too scared to whisper. These aren't normal parties. They're power plays. No phones allowed. NDAs longer than movie contracts. And when you say no, you might just find yourself on the outside looking in, or worse. Malcolm did the same. He kept his distance. He protected his peace, built a life with boundaries. And just when he started breaking the silence, just when he began telling the truth, he vanished. And we still come back to that man. The one who lived, the one who shared that wave, that moment. He was treated at the same clinic, then released. No media, no follow-up, no interviews. Did he see Malcolm struggling? Did he hear something? Did someone else show up out there in the surf? Or was he shaken into silence? No, playing a role we don't understand yet. Was he supposed to be a witness or a warning? Because if Malcolm's death wasn't just a tragic accident, then someone out there benefited from his silence. Someone wanted those podcast episodes erased. Someone made sure his voice didn't echo too far. So you tell us, was it just the ocean? Or was it a message? And if it was a message, then who's next? How many more black voices have to disappear before we admit what we're really seeing? How long before the accidents start looking like operations? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk. Do you think this was nature or something way more calculated? Who's really running the show behind the scenes? Hit like if you're still with us. Share this if you're done with the silence. Subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next, and we'll catch you in the next one. Rest in power, Malcolm. You were never just a character on a screen.